Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast. It is Friday, September 24th. In this episode, a rock and a hard place meet, the North London derby predictions between Arsenal and Spurs, a super club clash for the title, Chelsea host Man City, and the weirdest rivalry in the league, Brighton versus Palace on Monday. But there is no Mike, so I do not have the obligatory what is going on in the world of Spurs land. So I just have to go through it on my own, and I'm not happy about it. But Mike is planning for his wedding next week. I will be in New York. How we're going to handle Thursday, I'll be flying. He'll be flying. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll try and do something earlier. But what we have for this episode of the North London Derby is Spurs coming off 2 losses, but a win in the Carabao Cup on penalties, and Arsenal on 3 easy wins in a row, 1-0 versus Norwich, 1-0 versus Burnley. So they are relatively in form. I would say narrative dictates that Spurs are probably narrative dictates that Arsenal are probably in better form. They've got more of their players together. So we've seen Gabriel and we've seen Ben White, who are good. We know that Tierney was hurt, but Partey played on Thursday in the Carabao Cup. Aubameyang is there. Smith Rowe's there. Odegaard looks like a major player, gonna really help Arsenal a lot. So there is a lot going on. And then for Spurs, the narrative is whether Harry Kane is going to fire, whether he is ready to help lead this team forward. Roy Keane, who is the famous Manchester United central defender, midfielder and generally combative asshole Irishman, he's now become very famous on Sky Sports for his sort of sing-songy Cork accent and his hammering of Spurs. And he felt that Harry Kane should have gotten stuck in and yelled at someone and knocked someone over and really driven his team on in their last loss to Chelsea, which weirdly I thought Spurs had a lot to take out of that. I thought they played well mostly. I don't think that they were bad. They had a good half against, what is being pipped as the, for lack of a better word, the best team in the league. So we have Spurs and we have Arsenal. If either of them cannot get up for this game, then I don't know what they're supposed to do. I'm just going to have a look at who scored. One of the sites I go to. If you guys are ever curious about what sites I use to hunt down information, it's usually who scored. It's usually FB Ref. I'll go to those sites when I'm really looking for more in-depth insight into what's going on. So they have a nice preview link. They've got predicted lineups for Spurs. I'll just share this so you guys can have a look really quickly. But in the meantime, we'll sort of get a good look at this so that we can sort of see where things are. I'll turn the ad off because we don't need the ad sitting there. But you can see from the full screen here, that the predicted lineups are, just give me 1 second as I struggle through here, try and go full screen here. So you've got Reguilon, Dyer, Romero, Royale, Højbjerg, Skip, Ali playing in a deeper role, Heung-min Son, and Kane. Because Lo Celso is in, because Moore is hurt. And then Arsenal have their players there. I would rather they did not play Xhaka. But this group of Tomiyasu, White, Margulies, Ramsdale's made a difference, very vocal, very much in control of the team's defense. I really liked seeing that from him. Prediction-wise, they see this game as a draw, most likely. Arsenal have made it 2 wins from their last 3. Tottenham fell 2 in a row to 3-0, but then they were able to pull it back in the Carabao Cup. Predictions here are for a 2-1 Arsenal win. I would go for the draw. A draw seems most likely, but we'll see what happens there. I'm going to now sort of kick over into the City game. City come into this game with a lot of injuries against Chelsea. So we transition to the actual top of the league clash. We were actually going through the mid-table clash with Arsenal and Spurs, and now we'll go to the big boy clash. I do not feel good about this game. City did have Foden and Kevin De Bruyne back in the middle of the park during the Carabao Cup tie. But I don't like what I'm seeing from the front. The last game although City did score 6 goals in the Carabao Cup against Wickham and the Beast, I did not like what I saw from City without Torres. Seems Torres is actually going to be the striker. City have 4 players that are doubtful: Rodri, Zinchenko, Gundogan, Laporte, and Stones. They are in training, but whether they're able to play, I don't know. Chelsea have just been dominant and have beat City for the last 3 games they've played against. Predicted score here is also 2-1. I would not be surprised at that score, or 1-0 again. City just having a hard time scoring without that out-and-out striker, but they could get lucky. City are the worst shooting team in the league. They simply have to take and create the most shots possible to score even 1 goal. They do not have a natural finisher. I mean, that is what's really paining me about this City team this year, is not that they are worse, not that they aren't a good nail-down team for 85 points and a good amount of goals, but last season was not their best season. Last season, they did miss Aguero. They just happened to lock down their defense. So they only scored 80 goals or 85 goals, where they normally been scoring 100 goals. And that's where the Aguero's goals came in, and they had to really lock down their defense to be able to even win the league. It was Diaz that won them the league and not their normal offense. So I'm concerned for that. Now, Chelsea, on the other hand, are happy not to create, and the way to beat them is to really lock them down and be very, very, very diligent on the break. I just don't know if Pep has learned that he's got to have real holding midfielders there. So it has to be Fernandinho, even despite the fact that he had a really bad game last game in against Southampton. The legs may be getting to him, but he's the only one of City's midfielders that is even ready to fight. Maybe Foden and De Bruyne with Fernandinho will be the midfield 3 with Mahrez, Torres, and Grealish, a very attacking group. But I think that's probably the best grouping, especially if it has to be Walker. Walker has to play because he's their best defender. Diaz, if Ake has to play, that'll be tough. I'd love to see Stones and Laporte. I'd feel a lot better. And then at left back, the continual doom hole that is left back, we have a rapist, alleged, in Mendy, who's off the team at this point, and Zinchenko, who's hurt. So I don't know who will play. Maybe it'll be one of the kids. I don't know. But City do have a weakness. They'll have to play Cancelo there on his wrong foot if they have to play him at all. So that's where the teams are. Narrative right now, City are still living every time they lose a game. Every time they lose a game where they create lots of chances but are unable to finish, the story is going to be, you didn't get Kane, you didn't get Kane, you didn't get Kane, you didn't get Kane. And I don't disagree with that. It would have been nice to get Kane. It also would have been nice to have any striker resembling anything. So like I've said before, I would have been happy with Ollie Watkins. I would have been happy with Danny Ings. I would have been happy with Cristiano. I don't give a shit who it is. Torres has been okay. He does make the runs that City needs. But with City, it's an amount of luck. It's, can the shots that are taken be on goal and be converted? So City are going to create shots, but how many are going to be on target and how many are going to be clinical? It's really tough. It looks like Mendy will be back. N'Golo Kante will be back. It should be interesting to see what happens with City and their injuries. But City's so deep. It's not going to be whether Chelsea are better. Remember, Chelsea beat them a couple times in a row, but one of the games City barely played anybody or it was a weird lineup. And then in a Champions League final, Pep had to go and Pep and do something stupid like, change the whole system right now. So it'll be tricky. I'm into it. I love these games. They are very not in the face. I expect a draw. City not scoring, maybe Chelsea not scoring. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Lukaku was really put in check in the last game, so I don't expect Diaz. I expect Diaz to be able to handle him. Whether Ake on his side has any problems, City seem to give up goals whenever Ake plays. I don't think it's that he's a bad defender. I just think that it's the combination of the left side with the left back being weak compared to the right side with Diaz and the right back with Walker. So it seems that Ake is always having problems. He does tend to dive in. He's got a little Otamendi in him in that he goes to ground too easy. Can't wait for Stones to be back. Stones and Diaz won us the league last season, and I'm hoping to see that return sometime soon. The biggest part of this thing and the biggest narrative, and I should have touched on it right away, was that Pep and Tuchel are in now the fourth in the trilogy, in the quadrilogy, and Tuchel has won 3 in a row. And this is a hoodoo breaking. Is Chelsea in City's head? Is Tuchel going to outcoach Pep again, or will Pep finally figure out this 3-5-2 that Chelsea play, and hopefully, it says here 3-4-2-1. That's kind of how Chelsea play. They do play 2 banks of 3, and we'll see what City can do. But I do worry for City a little bit. I'd like to see us score a goal early, calm my nerves, and hopefully this thing will move along and we'll have a good league. But if Chelsea win, they'll be nailed on for favorites to win the league. We'll see what Pep comes up with in this game. On to the next. Cristiano Ronaldo. He's been fantastic. Narrative this week, really poor for United. Had a pretty bad week. Very dramatic. First, they lose to Young Boys, like we covered last week. Then they have a good game that's very dramatic against West Ham, where Mark Noble misses the penalty before for the draw, but there were like 3 other penalties. Cristiano Ronaldo diving all over the place. But in this, and then midweek, they played West Ham again, and West Ham won 1-0. Whether penalties, whatever. Again, I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not a league-winning manager. He simply is not. Manchester United could win the league, but they will lose the league because of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's where I'm going. This week they play Villa. Dean Smith is a good manager. Villa is a good team. They have been playing a 3-5-2 with the injuries. They had a great win against Everton to sort of get their credentials in. But, on paper, this is not a big game for Aston Villa. We'll see if Aston Villa is smart enough to sit deep and try and hit United on the break. We know that United can't break teams down. We know that United don't have a system to break teams down. Ronaldo has been fantastic. Mings always has a mistake in him. Martinez will be back in goal for Villa. This is a big game, I think, for United. The odds have Villa as an underdog, like plus 600, I think. It's a crazy number. I'm going to look at it right now. But I like Villa. I mean, I do have a bias against United. There's no doubt about that. I fucking hate them. They are good, but they still don't have a way to play. And I feel like they drop points and have problems against teams that you'd expect them to be. Oh, yeah, look, Villa are a plus 700 underdog. That means it's like, that is a crazy number. Let's just get the fractional value here, just so we have a better sense of what it is. They're 7-1, so every dollar down, you get $7 back. That is a massive, massive number, and I'm considering taking Villa as a really good dog there. They're just too good. They have a goal scorer in Ings. You'd expect him to at least get off the schneid. I just like them a lot. And then if it's McTominay and Fred, Louise and Ramsey are quite good. We'll see what happens with Young. And, United carry a liability player in every direction. So there's a liability on offense in Wan-Bissaka, who doesn't contribute anything. And on defense, Ronaldo is a liability. In some sense, Pogba as well. I think after a loss, United are usually really, really good. But it just feels like, Villa will have a shot in this game. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. A plus 700 is a massive underdog. And Villa is just like the best money you can spend because, on a day-to-day basis, you just don't trust United, especially at home. They're really good on the road, undefeated in 30. But at home, they find these games to drop, and there's no reason why this can't be the game where they drop points. This is just very United right now. Inconsistently consistent. I do believe in Ronaldo. I get it. He's amazing. He's been super fun. He makes United very compelling. I hear you, everyone. And they still have, like I said, the best squad in the league. They just simply have a shitty coach who is not up for the challenge of pushing this team to the next level to take them where they want them to go. And these are the really three big games of the day. We've got, I'll put the rest of the games to show across the bottom here. United Villa, I like a lot as the fun game. We've got the North London Derby. We've got Chelsea City. Liverpool go to Brentford in London, which I really love. Brentford was near and dear to my heart. I live nearby. They've been really good. I don't think they'll beat Liverpool, but it could be a fun game to watch. I would recommend jumping in on that. Brentford are really strong underdog at home at plus 625, which is a big number. So that's 6-1. That's fun for a flyer there. I like that one a lot. Villa at plus 700. Then there's a couple other shitty games. Watford, Newcastle, no fun. I'll take the over on Leeds United versus West Ham United. That looks like a bananas game. But I do think a lot about Liverpool lately. They look a strong side, but they still, it's not that they don't have depth. It's still fragile to me. They are such a great 11, or probably a great 14 or 13. They sort of have a good rotation between the midfield does a good job at rotating. But they of the three real challengers, and okay, the four, United is in there as well. Of the four, they have the least depth. And then United have the worst coach. And then Chelsea are the favorite for sure. But I think this week is a good week to sort of see where we are. And really, on a narrative basis, this North London Derby is really going to determine the narrative for these two former so-called top six, even though they're not in the top six, because Brighton is in the top four. I think that a draw suits both Nuno and Arteta. I think that Arteta turns his season around with a win, like massively, because then they're 3 on the spin. He's got the Spurs game. We said, hey, he needs 12 from 5. So after the next game, he can now lose to Brighton because, frankly, Brighton are fucking better than Spurs. It says the table says so. And we see where we are from there. The last game of the week is the Monday Nighter, which I'm fucking pumped about. But before we get into the Monday night game, we do have to pay the bills with our friends at Attitude of Gratitude. So, part of the Chop Sports team has been our connection with advertising groups, and Joe from Attitude of Gratitude Consulting has been with Chop Sports since the beginning, and we're proud to read his ads out on the show and make him a part of our lives. Like Mike said last week, this is a guy who, really is an honest, hardworking guy who's trying to help families save money and control their bills, especially in this time when, things are getting really expensive and you really have to pick and choose what you can spend your money on, especially when it comes to streaming and you've got all these subscriptions and you want to watch sports and you want to watch all these things. Joe will really take a look at your finances, make sure to handle it all. And at attitudeofgratitudeconsulting.com, he will give you the most honest opinion he can. You can schedule a call right on his website. He's right there. He's always a step away. His site's beautiful, easy to use, great calls to action, and you can schedule a phone call right there with him at Attitude of Gratitude Consulting. And if you do call Joe, please let him know that the Chop Sports Network sent you, and we'll go from there. So the rest of the games, we chatted briefly about them. We've got the early game on Saturday, Chelsea, Man United. I will have to get up at 4:30 for that. Then also Man United and Villa at the same time. Again, the stupid Premier League will not televise this game in the UK. Don't fucking ask me about it. I can't fucking handle it anymore. Then we've got Leeds, West Ham, a really good game, a little old school at Ellen Road. Should be a barn burner. Take the over. I'm there on that one. Leicester, Burnley. That's a shit game I'll avoid. Watford, Newcastle. If not for Alan Saint-Maximin, both these teams can go set themselves on fire. Everton, Norwich, about as nailed on a win as Everton can find. No problem there. We touched on Brentford, Liverpool is the last game of the day. Then on Sunday, Southampton, Wolves. I didn't even know that game was happening, and I don't care. Arsenal, Tottenham, the North London derby. This is hundreds of years in the making. The rivalry comes from the fact that Arsenal were in South London and Woolwich, and they moved to North London. So the Tottenham fans always have a little beef going back 200, almost 150 years about, hey, Arsenal, you don't belong here. It's that kind of shit. It's crazy. I'm sorry, but Arsenal have much, much, much bigger history than Spurs. Sorry, it's true. And then on Monday, Crystal Palace, Brighton, that I want to talk about. This is the M23 derby. This is two teams that have a rivalry set in violence because the two cities are 37 miles away. Crystal Palace is in Croydon, which is a large town in South London. Now, London is huge. This is the equivalent of saying, this is kind of like the Long Beach versus San Clemente derby, if you're from LA or California. So it's sort of, one is an industrial southern part of Los Angeles, and the other one is a nice seaside town in the next county over. So Brighton is San Clemente, and Croydon is Long Beach, if you will. But they do have a rivalry. You can take the train, stop by each of them. My team, well, not my team. I like both these teams. I love Crystal Palace for the passion of the team, the reflection of its neighborhood. The team is very Black English, and they reflect that in their style of play with Zaha, and they've gotten Oluwesi, even though he's French, and they're bringing in sort of swag players like my guy Conor Gallagher. They're very representative of South London in the melting pot. And then you have Brighton, who are representative of another type of thing that I love, which is this sort of analytical approach. They're run by a gambler, Tony Bloom, who's really turned this team around since he became the chairman in 2011 when they really pushed for promotion under Gus Poyet. Then they went up with Chris Hughes. They kept Chris Hughes, who played too defensive. When the opportunity came after Potter left Swansea, Potter completely transformed the way that Brighton played, but not the results. So they went from a stay in the league between 40 and 45 points, playing defensive, Duncan Duff and a header, to a progressive attacking team of Neil Maupay missing chances without Duff, but with White. So they are in the same place, but playing a different way. So it's really fascinating to watch this team go from a heavy defensive unit to a progressive attacking unit, get the same results, but deliver them in a completely different style. And I believe in Potter. I believe in the Brighton project. And I bet on them almost every week because I think there's still value in their play. I think they're still underrated, even though they are now in the top four. Everything in their underlying numbers said they were a top half team, and now they're showing it. So it's really exciting. And on the other side, Crystal Palace is doing the same thing. Crystal Palace is a team well run under Steve Parish, I think. They have tried in, I think, 3 successive attempts to become a more progressive attacking team, but every time they tried, it would go badly. So they tried under Frank de Boer. He lost his first 8 in a row. They brought in Roy Hodgson. They tried under Ian Holloway early on, and they had to go to Allardyce or Pulis to save them. So they have tried to be a more progressive team, but when relegation threatens them, they do revert to form and become a defensive team that are dour and kind of 4-4-2 in a cloud of dust football. They become more Burnley than not Burnley. And essentially, that's what Hodgson had them in a holding pattern in that way of 3 or 4 years, same players, lots of older players hanging on. And now they're trying again. They've reloaded. They've let their older players' contracts run down and replaced them with younger replacements. And Patrick Vieira, who is known as an Arsenal player, but was trained as a coach for under City and then did actually coach NYCFC here in the US before going to Nice, where he's mixed success, I'd say. Also an English owner. But I do like what's happening with Crystal Palace. To win this game at home against your rival would be a massive win for Palace. I mean, big. I think Palace probably have the more talented players, but Potter is a much, much, much better coach, and Brighton are a much tighter, cohesive unit who've been playing together for a long time. So Palace, we know who's going to play. It's going to be Dunk, Duffy, Basuma, Maupay, Trossard, Lallana stitching things together. We know what they're going to do. They're going to be progressive. They're going to play out from the back. They're going to control the game through the midfield and try and create as many chances as they can because they need as many chances as they can because they don't have really great finishers. The most expensive thing in all of football is a finisher. And that's where Brighton are missing. Whereas Palace have young defense, but they have 2 finishers in Benteke and Osman Ondard. So we'll see what happens. I love Gallagher. I'm going to be watching that game on Monday and probably have money on it just to make sure that we go through it. I left the attitude of gratitude thing there. So that sort of takes us into my best bets. It's clear that having Mike on the show gives the show an extra 20 minutes of legs, but I will go through my bets. So last week, I won both my bets, but it was even bigger than that because one of my bets was this 3-team parlay. I took Villa, Arsenal against Burnley, and Brighton to win, and it was an amazing event. And now I'm gone a little bit crazier. My favorite bet, I really feel strong about a Chelsea City draw at plus 225 and Leeds West Ham over 1.5 goals. I just can't see Leeds and West Ham not playing a fucking barn burner because the crowd will whip the team up and Leeds will have time and West Ham will be coming off their midweek games and it should be a good game to play, good game to watch. And then my mega parlay will take Everton money line, easy win against Norwich at home. Leeds over 1.5. So that same bet, or bringing it into this, a draw in the North London derby. So I'm betting on Arsenal to sputter and these teams to sort of hang on and tight. And I'm mixing it up. I want a City win and a Palace draw at plus 960. So for $10, I win. Not is it 9? That can't be right. Let me see. Did I put it in yet? I don't remember. Let me see. Let me see my bet. Gotta check my betting here. See where I am. I'm pretty sure I put this bet down already, but if I didn't, I have to check. Let me just make sure. I just have to check on something really quickly. Oh, it was in another screen. Oh, I have to log in. So I'm just logging in. Yeah, I just got a big sort of number out there that I did not place the bet. Okay. Oh no, the bet I have placed is Villa plus 700, Chelsea draw, and Leeds plus 1.5. So I have actually changed my bet. I actually have that Villa plus 700 against United, but I have not put the parlay down yet. I will, but it is plus 900. So those are my best bets, and I'm looking forward to it again. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm only putting $10 down. It's a whole lot of fun to sort of put bets down on these games. I will edit this on the fly just to make sure that I've got this extra bet in here. So I do have Villa plus 700 money line against United. So I have 4 bets. Got 4 bets. It's City to draw with Chelsea as a single bet. That's my favorite. Leeds versus West Ham plus 1.5. Villa plus 700 against United away. It's probably dangerous. And then this crazy parlay: Everton money line, Leeds plus 1.5, Arsenal draw, Man City money line win, and Palace Brighton draw. So we'll see how it goes. By the end of Monday, I might know right away. Like if City win, if City draw, I win my 225, and then I lose a parlay on $10. But so what? I won it last time. I'm really enjoying the betting. It's super fun. And we expect actually to have a sponsor soon. We're going to hear from the Chop Sports Group about MGM Grand. So we're super excited about that within the context of the show. Anyway, I'm going to finish it up. That was the Squeaky Bum Time podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Network. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss a show. And if you're listening on Apple, please rate and review the show so we can reach more people who love us as much as we love them. And there's a lot of loving going on, so enjoy that. I did not do any German jokes. I guess no Mike, no Germans.